Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Human Up TV. I'm your host, Nathan Gangadine, and as always, here with my father, Ashok Gangadine. And together we are bringing you the next episode of our 1776 Now series. This episode is called A House Divided, and we're going to go into what that really means, what's really causing that, and it's going to be powerful and intense and wonderful and musical as always. So stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, would just like to say a couple words here about what you're about to get into with us today. We've already touched on some major themes over the last 6 episodes, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge that. I mean, if you're hanging with us through all this, I mean, kudos to you, because this is heavy-hitting stuff. It's really powerful. It's intense. It's mind-shifting. It takes work, and it takes focus to stay with us. So I just want to applaud you for hanging with us. And we're going to go, believe it or not, even deeper into the science of what's causing our breakdown here, our division, our house divided in America. And so I'm very excited. I'm actually really excited about this episode and the coming episodes, because having laid the groundwork that we already have, now we can actually really start to get into it even deeper. So the themes, some of the themes we started to touch into already pretty deeply in the last couple of episodes is really focusing on this idea of ideology. You know, we said, are we the land of ideology? That's intense, because if we're a land of ideology, then we are a house divided, is essentially what we're saying there. And if we know, a lot of us know conceptually, oh yeah, one nation under law, under source, whatever name you want to use there. Oh yes, we the people, united we stand, divided we fall, all these things. We know that in a kind of, sort of distant way or information sort of way, like, yeah. But I want to ask you guys to really bring that to the foreground now of your awareness. If we continue to be a house divided, America and everything she stands for, our home, and this sacred experiment of democracy will meet its demise. If we are not unified, then we are done, is basically the principle here. So it is life or death in some pretty profound ways for the future of the nation, for the future of each of our lives. And we want to invite you to see us as a family, where there's so much warring in our narratives and demonizing of the other. I mean, you can really see it big time right now, which is suicidal, to just put it in no soft terms, to take a rigid stance and have my America. This is what America means to me. If you don't like it, well, too bad. We're going to win this election and you're going to have to deal with it. That kind of attitude, both sides, right? My America versus your America. So the name of the game is whose America gets to win. And then the other side is just going to have to deal with it while we remain divided. So in other words, whoever wins this next election, everybody loses if we don't vote higher. So that's the way that I would put it. And of course, I want to bring in a song for you in a moment called Loving It All. This is a song I wrote some time ago, but it's as pertinent now as ever. And I'm really singing to our American family and our planetary family. I mean, this is about all of us rising above this age of ideology and projecting what we want for our own narcissistic reasons on the reality around us, which is really a violation to others and a violation to nature and a violation to ourselves. And so this version of Loving It All is not a kumbaya kind of song, Kumbaya is a lovely song. No offense to that. Just saying there's something deeper here. You know, it's really an invitation to get into the kind of love that's big enough for all of us and that can heal our family. And it's going to have to be a mighty love for us to heal the resentments and rise above the profoundly deep feelings of resentment and fear and being threatened by the other that we're encountering and seeing all over the place now. So those are my words, Dad, for this episode and for loving it all. And if you want to say anything before we play the song.
You've opened it up beautifully enough to build on the last 6 episodes and the profound themes that we've been raising. Are we the land of the free? Are we one people? Are we one nation? Are we a house divided? Are we above the law? What is the law? Where is the origin of founders 1776 and our journey into the land of the free? And we must do this life and death, as you point out, urgently. So this episode, we want to focus in more deeply using the source science. When you say science, people may not understand that because we used to our sciences as we know them here, but there's a tradition of getting to the science of what is first, fundamental, the primary being, the logos, reality, the field of reality, ontological science, first science. And we needed to find the opening into this deeper space to get that missing science. And that's the place where we have true unity and love and law and ethics and all of the things we 1776, human freedom, well-being, flourishing here and not here where we've been stalled in this red zone. And so this is really what the song is, the crossing, loving it all. Because why? Because it's all Unum connected. The insight of our great wisdom traditions. And you beautifully point out and remind our friends watching and joining us that the field of reality is interwoven as a continuum. It's a unity. It's a unified place. We're all connected and woven in with each other. And your song, Loving It All, is not a song, a pop song for the divided culture, but medicine to bring us into the place where we're loving it all in the human family. So we're not America-centric, we're not USA-centric, even though we're focusing on 1776 and the holy experiment of real democracy. That is one lab, a laboratory, across the planet. All of our people, all of our human family, all of the scattered tribes are suffering with division, and houses divided, and humans divided within themselves and between one another. And that's the loving it all as an ultimate medicine. Not love here, but deep love. You know, powerful love, Christ love, Buddha love, yoga love, Om love, Logos love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the song that I love so much. When I heard this years ago, I was deeply moved. It's another anthem for calling the human family to rise together. Please, let's listen, let's enjoy the song.
Rolling where I go against my fear of losing. I'm invited to let go. I miss my time of choosing. And I wonder if we really could take a wrong turn. And remember when I die, the earth is still gonna turn. Yeah, 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 yeah. Now's the time for me to make my choice. Live or die, I choose to share my voice with you. Don't go on, let this life pass you by. Dive into me as I look into your eyes. Realize now's the time for loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. We're loving it all. Yeah. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. Spend my mind painting some kind of fantasy over what's in front of me. Wish things could be the way they were again. Waiting for things the way they are to end. Now I see that it's all in me. No matter what I got in front of me, but this is really where I wanna be right here. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Whoa. Very, very hard to live. Much of it's so pleasing and much to break your heart. It gives sometimes, yeah. Still I feel so blessed to be here. I won't blow it all on my feet. No, no more. Because I'll be, yeah, loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving it all. Yeah. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Loving you, loving me, loving it all. Whoa. Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Powerful medicine. I love that song.
Yeah.
Loving it all, Nath, and in the deep sense, it's a logos love. There's a call across the planet for all humans. We're woven together. And if we're living in the separated red zone of splintering and fragmentation and breaking relations, because relations here are synthetic, they're mind-made by us rather than a deep space where reality and being itself, reality is unified, woven together, woven in love. And loving it all is to become awakened. You've got to be awakened in the heart and the mind to really enter the space of loving it all. And that's the space of democracy.
Right. It's there to be realized, but it's not being handed to us. And I just was hearing the lyrics for the first time in a way in this context. You know, I too have spent my mind painting some kind of fantasy over what's in front of me, meaning what's in front of you, us, all of us, is the reality, the place, the promise of the land of the free, but not if we keep narcissistically holding our lens and our perspective to be universal, and as such impose it not only on the other, but on ourselves, on the voting. And so that's really one of the principles I want to bring through today about universal narcissism, and to understand narcissism on a deeper level than just the obvious narcissist, but to see that in a way, the culture, the entirety of the culture in all of its vast diversity and variety is fundamentally narcissistic, or solipsistic is a word that I'm even hearing people using lately, which has surprised me. Do you want to kind of explain what solipsism is and narcissism as I'm trying to get at it?
Yes, Nathan. Again, looking at our hologram, this is really an innovation that's brought out to us that we never had before from the Logos, the Unum first. That's a fundamental unifying field of the, if we're saying the Logos, or whatever name you use for what is first, primary being, it's a unifying force. And that's this double parentheses, blue space, and we're always here. Whatever we are, wherever our worldviews are, and what we see as a red zone, the matrix. In our earlier episodes, we saw we're living in a space here. This is where our cultures are being made by our technology of language and thought and processing, because we're always interpreting our worlds, our experience. We humans, I and we, wherever we are, we have a lens. That's what this is. We have a lens of the mind, and we're always interpreting experience. All of our experience, our rational experience, our feelings, our emotions, everyday facts, they're always being interpreted by us and processed by us. And we have not been sufficiently clear that when we're using the deep technology of information, Google Space, I have information. I know that I love you. I know that I am cold. I know that this is a democracy. I know that Jesus is Lord. I know that Buddha is true. All of the, I know that science, the Big Bang is true. Whatever this is, the vast worlds that we can do within this technology, the red zone. It's a profound stage of rational, cognitive development of humans in taming the power of the word, of the infinite force that's holding us. These arrows shows we couldn't do this. Our lives, ourselves, our experience, our worlds are all on the screen here. So that arrow here, so we are seeing our experience and projecting it on the screen of consciousness here. And
but of course, we don't know that we are.
No, we're doing this. We just have an experience. We have our world. We're living in our world. And we don't yet sufficiently, first of all, we don't know we're in the red zone. We don't know that this is a technology of information. And information is what's on the screen of our awareness. And we can say yes or no. And one of the biggest points I want to make, Nathan, here, is what you just said. As vastly diverse as our worldviews may be, and cultures and religions and sciences and arts and liberal arts and all of these disciplines, they are in this space of informationized talk about it. Its language represents we have thoughts about reality, and we picture the facts in the world and reality and events and phenomena. That's a space. That's what the red means. And we can have vastly diverse worlds. Change your lens, you change your world. So what world shows up for you? If you're a biblical person, say a Christian, and you have a Christian world or a biblical world, that's, you know, God created the universe, or a scientific mind, Big Bang is true. Whatever your lens, you're going to have a different world. And we can live in different worlds, but worlds are worlds apart. This is huge.
And we're house divided.
Different worlds are worlds apart. And this plus and minus is huge, because in this space of information, S is P or S isn't P, whatever we're talking about. We could always say positive or not. We could affirm or deny. We could say yes or no to that. And if one side has one worldview, Big Bang is true. Well, no, Genesis is true. And you could have different information, different stories, different narratives, different worldviews, different paradigms, vastly diverse across the planet, different religions, different ways of naming the first. Is it Allah? Is it Yahweh? Is it Om? Is it Brahman? Is it Logos? Is it the grand unified field? Is it Tao? Whatever the name we use for the fundamental first name, we download it to our language, wherever we are, in our lens. And so the question, Nathan, that you're pointing out is, if we can only see this, and we must see it now, because we're stifling, we're divided, because this is a divider. The technology we're using, is kind of a leading law of reason at this stage. A is A. A thing is what it is. If you have a pen or not pen, I or not I, Christian or not Christian, scientist, not scientist, Republican, Democrat. But this is not about America. This is a whole planetary polarization. It's not just bipolar, it's multipolar. Because all the different, we change our lens, we change our world. And that's a great change. You can go from one worldview to another. Before I saw Jesus as my Lord, I was lost, now I'm found. I didn't have it before, now it's after. Or I was an alcoholic, and now I have a different meaning in life. You can change your meaning in life. From what was, you're in the darkness, now you're in the light. You can have that in here. So we have different worldviews. The basic point, if we could get this in this session, a house divided, what does that mean? USA here, not USA here, 1776 here. What we do in the first 6 episodes is to show this is the law of the land. The Logos is the law. It's the law of connectivity. It's a place of Unum Pluribus, unity in diversity. So diversity here is a healthy diversity, multiplicity, and yet connected in the Unum. And that's where we can be we the people. But if we're downsized into this derivative stage and take this as the ultimate and don't realize this is a stage that we must outgrow and mature into an integral, holistic, rational space where we can, in deep dialogue, see the other without demonizing the other and objectifying the other and self. This is the moral space. This is a rational space, a mature space, not a divided space. So if we're living in, if our culture, say an American lab, again, it's a global point, we want to look into the American lab here, 1776 now, that it's clear that the cultural civic space is divided profoundly. We're not one nation under law, indivisible. This is the place of indivisibility and integral, but this is the place where we're inherently divided, already divided. And so when we said in earlier sessions about the colonized space and the matrix effect, what we're pointing out is that when we're doing our culture here and talking about it, whether it's positive or negative, we can go is or isn't. We can always do that here. And if it's modernism, you can go to postmodernism. You can always look at the opposite. And if you go way back, Nathan, one of the main things I like to invite us to talk about now is that this is not new. Sophistry is when you just have your own, when you're cut off from the Logos and you have your worldview and you take it at absolute face value. Or even if you try to be critical here, it's still a worldview that's monocentric. When you talk about sophistry or narcissism, this is narcissistic.
Yes.
Why? Because your view of reality here, of yourself, of facts, of everything in your world, when it's in this space, is oriented around your position, your orientation. It's oriented around you or we. The culture you're in. A culture can be cultic. It can be tribal. It can be me-centric, monocentric, rather than dialogue-centric, unum-centric. So you can be centered here or decentered here. And this can be a normalized space. And our great wisdom teachers are all calling us to make this crossing. All the biblical calls. Islam, surrender to Allah. Allah first. Yahweh first. Om first. Yoga first. Buddha first. The law first. Science first. Reason first.
Reason.
That's the grace call of the verse. So what I'd like to us to go and help our friends understand in this Unum science, this logos science, is that when we're living in this space, our worldview is cut off from the other. And this line is the house divided. And if I see it my way, then I have my facts. If you see it your way, you have your facts. And if we're in a divided space, then we cannot be one people, one nation. It doesn't mean we agree. But when we disagree in the dialogue space, we're connected in the possibility of common ground. And having a civic culture, a civilized culture, a moral culture, a 1776 State of the Union. The State of the Union is here. This is a state of the disunion. This is the house divided. So again, the narcissism is that when you privilege your worldview and you can't see the other because you're cut off and blinded to the other, right? That's a dangerous place to be. It's not sustainable because it's in a way delusional. It's denial. It's denial of the connectivity of reality. The field of logos, the field of reality, being, what is connected and interconnected and interwoven. That's why we have such strange laws as love your enemy as yourself. Why would Jesus say that? Because the other is already connected whether you like it or not.
Like it or not.
You know, so the vote, you just vote. You can have a myopic vote, a narcissistic vote. Here's my
exactly
interest.
what I was just thinking,
This is what I want. You take it now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know, I was even thinking about trying out my new pad technology. If I can bring this up, voila. To bring it in.
Yeah, put it in your words. So I'd like to see how your.
There we go. So yeah, just to jot that, and I don't have the same, degree of detail that I can use, but I mean, just to show this, because I was thinking about that very point, all right, because this, again, holding in our minds that this is life and death, like this is really serious. And again, whoever we vote for, whoever wins, there's a deeper vote going on. And on this level, like you've pointed out, with this kind of plus minus picture, I'm going to try to not make this too messy. That's really huge. So you got, let's say plus is Democrat and minus is, not to make minus negative or anything, but just to see the two sides of it. You can easily make the plus the red and the minus the blue, but you got the Democrat, Republican, let's say, is just a very clear and obvious polarization that's going on right now. And this voter here, this is what I wanted to point out. This voter here, if she is unaware that she is interpreting, as you pointed out, and this is what I was saying about solipsism, and I wanted you to talk about that, and I hold solipsism and narcissism very closely in the deep sense, which is that this being right here doesn't know that she has a lens. She doesn't know that she's interpreting. And so she's taking, like you said, taking reality and everything she's perceiving out in the world at face value. And that becomes a kind of narcissistic voter. So now you're looking at your options. Who's going to give me what I want, and I'm going to choose them, and that's my vote. So I'm going to choose that, or I'm going to choose that, and that's my vote. But there's a deeper vote going on, because when you do that, you're really voting down. You're really voting for the demise. That we're trying to help America see this so importantly, because. And we're not just voting when we go to the ballot either. We're voting in every moment with the choice to stay here. And if we're staying there, like it or not, you can be a very nice narcissist. You can be a very nice solipsist. You can be a very good person. And as I've said before, I believe everybody is a good person, even the ones we call bad people, or people that were, for whatever, you trace it back far enough to that child or that baby was hurt badly enough that they became so desourced and so cut off from their ability to be in the I-thou space, which is where love is. I and the other are one, loving it all space, right? And, so even what we call bad people are people that got so cut off to that. And so we become narcissistic just by our very nature, and reality becomes about, people use terminology, which I really don't want people to do, is they talk about shopping for a candidate. You know, we're going to shop for our candidate, and the words just roll off our tongue like there's nothing wrong with it. But I think we need to pause and look at how much of a confession that is. We're in a narcissistic voter space. What is it? What are you going to do for me? What have you done for me lately? You know, whoever the candidate is. You know, and what are you going to do for me? What are you going to do for me? And we know quotes like John F. Kennedy saying, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And he's getting at this deeper vote point. But again, just like all of our words of wisdom, it gets pulled into the box. I know my page is messy here. I'm just going to quickly do it. Do that again. You just got a little picture of Sedona where I live. So again, if we're in the narcissist, this is the vote. Are we going to vote here or vote here? The vote is really to vote up. And as long as we don't face this, we don't realize that we are indeed desourced, as we call it, cut off from the law. This is where the law is. If we're one nation under law, so to speak, and we're not voting to that. People say, you know, the senators or congresswomen and men have to vote their conscience. And we say you have to put your country before your own personal interests. We say those things, but we say them down here. So it just becomes the plus to the minus kind of issue. So we can say those things, but what does it really mean to vote up? And which is another way of saying, what does it really mean to be free? This is the free American. As long as our voters and our citizens are voting and staying here, we cannot vote either. Whichever way we go, we cannot vote for America. Double bracket America. We can only vote for the ensuing disintegration that comes from, if everybody, think about it, it's not complicated. If everybody is voting for themselves, we can only end in disintegration. We can only fall apart. We can only be a house divided. So this vote is very powerful. And that's really what I want to invite people to do as we pull in this next song, to think about what it means to be free, really. Because you can go to the ballot box and exercise your freedom to vote, but is your vote really free? Can you vote as a free person, and can you vote for freedom if at the deepest level we're not free? We're laboring under this kind of solipsism and narcissism that has our minds captive. You know, back a couple episodes, I sang Redemption Song, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Taken at the deepest level is exactly what we're talking about here. So I think it might be a good time to bring in So Free, if you
did beautifully enough. I love the way you visualize that in the hologram, so that you're showing that what you call the narcissism, that may trouble people to hear it, because you're almost looking in the mirror and preening at your own image. And it's deeper than that. It's existential narcissism, your worldview. When you take your narrative position, your story as primary, and that's how you see yourself and the world and other. That's existential narcissism, ontological narcissism. Mm-hmm. The being, the space of being, becomes a projection of your storytelling and embracing, saying yes to your story. And mm-hmm. there could be so many different other stories in the marketplace of the culture. So whether you call it solipsism, meaning you're locked into your own worldview, and if you are, when you say, for example, the current state of across the aisle is broken. Say in the USA lab, the current state of the Republican the worldview is like a different reality from the Democrats. And people are saying that on the news all the time. It's like we're in two worlds. We're living two realities. There are two USAs. There are two constitutions. Impeachment is making clear we're all under impeachment because impeachment can't work. Mm-hmm. The tripartite the balance in powers are completely unbalanced because it's not being conducted with a dialogue citizenship, with law first. Mm-hmm. Because the human-made law is not the source law. Mm-hmm. The logos law That's the law of the land. One nation.
That's what informs the laws that we have.
Right. That's what we downloaded to here. So the constitutional law is deep, as we've been pointing out in these first 6 episodes, and now to see the idea. So the word sophistry is important now, as you go into your song. Sophistry is old as the hills. Socrates was taking on the sophists. Who are the sophists? The ones who really think their opinion is truth. Because your worldview is your opinion. You said yes to it, that's your opinion. And you think that because I affirm it and it's my truth, then my truth is truth. That's relativism, that's sophistry, which means what? What appears true to me is true. I'm voting my agenda. That's sophistry. A sophist is a false a philosopher, false truth. The appearance, confusing appearance with reality. Socrates drank hemlock for this, the logos. We must leave the cave and become awakened, rational beings and mature as a critical, awakened self. Know thyself above all. Right? That's enter the logos, a light of reason. And that's really, we're so free. Your song is so beautiful. When I heard this song, Nathan, I was so deeply moved. I felt this is an anthem for the people across the planet. We're so free when we're in the Unum sphere, the Unum field, where everything we're experiencing, the interconnected with nature, with the other person, with the child, with the work of art, right? Everything is interconnected. We're so free here, and we're so bound and colonized in this matrix. Right? When we put ourselves first, that's sophistry. So sophistry is false pseudo-knowledge, and real knowledge is getting woke. So woke America, let's say, all humans must do this, but woke Americans, right, is in the land of the free, and that's so free. So let's enjoy your song.
Feel you hold me the way I used to feel held, and I know very well this is my home. I never was alone. Infinite one, you my love, are you are me. We're so free, we're so free, we're so free. We're so free. Listen to me. What else could we be? So don't fight. The pain is part of the light. Let it inside. It's a part of you you've been longing to find again. And you know it's time when you feel it inside. Just know it's alright. Bring it home to infinite light. We're so free. We're so free. We're so free. We're so free. Listen. There's nothing else you could be. Oh, I'm giving thanks, giving thanks to the infinite light. I'm giving thanks, I'm giving thanks to the infinite light. I'm giving thanks, giving thanks for the infinite light. I'm giving thanks, giving thanks for the infinite light. Send this light to the mountains. Send this light to the seas. Send this light to every part of me. Oh, I send my light to the people. I send this light to good and evil. Send this light to every part of me. We're so free. We're so free. We're so free. Yeah. We're so free. Send my love to the creatures. Send my love to the trees. Send my love to everything that breathes. Oh, and send my heart to the mama. Send my heart to her sky. Send my heart to all her people asking why. We're so free, giving thanks for the infinite. 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 Listen to me. There's nothing else we could be.
That's powerful medicine for the human family across the planet.
Yes, and you know, I can take that main message in a couple ways. You know, there's nothing else we could be but so free is true in the sense that that's our true nature. That's, there's nothing else you can be but so free. On the other hand, our main point here is there is something else we can be or unbe. To be here is to not be. So, I mean, I just want to, I just want to say that, you know, because that's the whole point of what we're saying is we do have the option of not being free, and that's where we've been. And if we normalize it on top of it and don't even know it, and we think that we're free when we're not, then we're really in grave danger. So I just wanted to say that on the tail of that song, in regards to the what I really meant by saying we're so free and nothing else we can be.
And our being, the ontology, the being, the first science is the science of being, and well-being is being free and out of the bondage. Well, we ended before that beautiful interlude. We saw the house divided, that it's profoundly divided in ways we didn't even understand. And when I suggested that sophistry, good people, scientists, philosophers, academics, woke citizens who self-help, all of the things, the wisdom we're alleging, as long as we have not addressed the depth of the matrix of informationism and talking about it and using that level of language and reason, great as it is, Google space, we've been living in Google space for 2,500 years and more, let's say. And so sophistry is old as the hills. Taking your position, your interpretation of reality within this de-sourced space to be real and true, that's where the illusion of sophistry is. Appearance eclipses reality.
And that's where tyranny thrives, right? Because there's no higher governing principle. It's just might is right.
That's the point. And that brings us back again even to Socrates in the dialogue of Plato's Republic, when one of the bullies steps forward, when Socrates is asking, what is justice? And Thrasymachus comes in and says, Socrates, don't be so naive. We know that tyrant rules. What the tyrant says is true or is real or is important is going to dominate the space. Might is right. Right ethics is the mighty, the voice of the power. Who holds the power? Who controls the story? If I control the story, that is tyranny. That's dictatorial. And so when you have a land of opinion, if you're still colonized in rational space and you're not really realizing freedom, and by the way, our great teachers are seeing that the path to freedom, or whether it's Jesus said, unless you die, you can't be born into the Christ space, right? So if you're a Christian, a believing Christian, you have your ideology of the story that you take to be the gospel story that you're interpreting as God's word, and with all your heart and believing it, whatever your truth, scientific truth, religious truth, any religion, any way of life, any walk of life, within this space that you take to be an ultimate truth, with all your heart, you could still be in a sophistical space of opinionism. Opinion is ideology, the land of ideology, insofar as, in the case of USA, that USA culture is still under the dominance of this stage of reason, it's this stage of storytelling and believing and having our opinions be true. This is a place of truth and meaning. This is a place of reason. This is a space of human experience. And we can design it in many different ways according to whatever lens or multiple lenses we have. We could change the picture and change the story. But if we take it as the, I said yes, and therefore that's my vote.
Right.
And what you're pointing out so importantly now is that we can vote on this. A great teacher is Buddha, when he saw we're going to suffer as long as we're in this space, and it's caused by how we're using our minds and how our mind is using us.
Yes, exactly.
We don't understand how we're using our, so the word mentation is a word, not just meditation or predication or egotation, whatever. Mentation is how we're using our consciousness. We're designing our lives. We have a voice.
And that's where freedom lives. That's where freedom and choice is.
That's right. That's right. And that's the ultimate vote we're calling for now. As long as we remain in a sub-vote, in a sophistical opinionation, to give your opinion. I say, yes, that's my candidate. I vote for that. That person speaks my agenda, what I want, my interests, I vote for that.
And there's a false sense of power and sovereignty in that. There's something convincing. I've got a vote, a voice, a choice.
That's right. Yeah, but that's what's sinking us now, because because democracy, we the people, if we're divided, our house divided, then we can get, if we can get the majority of votes on our side and dominate the space, then we can dictate our story, our version of the Constitution, our interpretation of the law, our interpretation of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is using that too, or the legislative, the judiciary. Right, the executive, the different branches, all are using an interpretation. Where is the White House? Where is the lighthouse? Where is democracy? We the people. Are we the people? One nation under law. This is the law, the logos. Let's use the word logos. The light of reason. That's the infinite force of Unum Pluribus, the uniting. This is the state of the union. And as long as we're conducting our lives and cultures in all the multicultural separate places that we are living out, these worlds competing for the narrative supremacy here, I mean, we're good people. We don't intend that. But if we're duped and we haven't seen this and haven't stood back to this point, if we can't step back and zoom out to zero in, we've got to zoom out to zero in to see,
yeah,
to see the medical condition. We haven't seen that. That's what the main point of this 1776 now is, to say that 1776 was deeper than we thought. Christ is deeper. God is deeper than we thought. Science and truth and reality and ethics and law, freedom, goodness, love is deeper than we thought.
And I feel moved to say at this point, because we are saying kind of everybody has to, whichever side you're on, but that's not to say that everyone is voting down, so to speak. I do believe there's a vast, I would even say a majority of people who want to go up. They want to go up. They believe they're saying things like the rule of law. Nobody's above the law, and put your country before your personal self-interest. Where do these principles come from? Well, it comes from the source. It comes from that higher place up there. So I want to be very clear. There's a whole slew of people that their hearts are in the right place, and they want to go the right direction. And it's not about that part of it is good. That part is clear. It's about capability to actually go up if we're in the same boat in a deep sense. And so we call it the same boat principle, in fact, the same boat axiom, which is even if you feel that you're on the right side of the argument, so to speak, you could still be in the same boat.
That's right. That's the point. That's the main point. The same boat, as vastly diverse as our different narratives are. If our narratology and our storytelling is in this space under the influence of the Google space informationism, if this is informationism, and we use language to represent and picture the world, and we believe our story, and that's what seems true to me is true to me, and that's how I'm voting with my life. But I'm here, as good as we are. If we don't have the critical intelligence to see this, we can't step back, then and to realize we have a deeper vote than we thought. So the vast majority of cultural creatives, of people who have been at the frontier, intelligentsia, the people who've been striving, whose hearts, as you say, is in the right place.
Activists.
That's right. All the activism, the self-help, the wisdom teachers and life coaches are saying we're better than this.
Yeah,
we're better than this. But if we say it without calling this out, we keep hitting the same wall, the boundary.
Yes. That is all important.
Right.
That's all important to see. I mean, it's almost the pinnacle of everything we've been saying through all of this is, if we don't see this, we're going to just keep hitting that ceiling. We're going to keep on hitting that red line, so to speak, and not realizing it. No matter how good our intentions are, and no matter how hard we push, whether it be for climate change or gun control or this or that or whatever your passion is to make the world a better place, your passion to end violence, your passion for peace, your passion for fairness and equality and equal pay and equal rights, and all those things are noble causes that are guided by that higher space of principle. But what we're saying is, wouldn't you want to know that as much as you want those, we will not be able to sustainably bring them into manifest reality if we don't realize that we're under that ceiling that's blocking it. So what I'm trying to say is, you can be a really, really good person, really giving it your all, and we celebrate that, in our culture, the activism and all of that. But wouldn't you want to know, if you're in the same boat as everything that's taking it down? So if we talk about boats, it's like the Titanic. It's just pick the obvious boat. The Titanic's going down. You wouldn't want your activism to be to get a bucket and as fast as you can try to fight the water that's just going to keep flooding in, right? That's kind of the way that I think about it. And so you can be really, really wanting to help with those buckets, but is it going to save the situation? Is it going to save your life? Is it going to save our lives? At some point, we got to leave that boat. And that's really what leaving this single bracket space is leaving that boat. All of us. And that's where activism becomes activated, in that source space.
And well said. And again, to zoom out from the American lab to the global lab, across the planet, look across the planet. It's not just that Americans are hitting the wall. Everyone is hitting the wall. All of Buddha saw the noble truths. They're not here. They're not Google truths in Google Space. If you have information, you could twist it and have disinformation. And if you're duping the people with disinformation, you confuse their minds in the opinion space, then we don't know what is true anymore, and everything is in chaos here. But when Buddha saw that as long as we're lodged behind this place of bondage of the mind and addicted to this preconscious a code, it's a code, a convention, a way of being a human, and making our experience. As long as we're addicted, we will not cross to the other shore.
Mm-hmm.
But 2,500 years later, still we're struggling with, are we really following the Dharma of Buddha, the law,
Mm-hmm.
the moral law, the unified field where everything is interwoven?
You know,
we're still not. How about yoga? Krishna, the voice of Om, is teaching Arjuna, the warrior, in a fratricidal civil war.
mm-hmm.
It's a war in the culture, broken family. And it's devastating. And Arjuna drops his weapon and says, Krishna, help me. Krishna gives him the technology of yoga. But even now, after 2,500 plus years, we're doing yoga here. Are we really seeing that we can do yoga in the disintegral space? We could say integral here and holistic here and unity here, unified here, one people, one nation under God. But it's not. It's divided by a technology that we haven't really seen clearly by zooming out and breaking the barrier. So this has been going on with Socrates saying we're in the cave and we've got to cross into the logos and put logos first and become a rational, awakened, critical thinking being. So know ourself, know thyself above all. The self here is not the awakened self. So how many centuries must we continue to do our activism and self-help and wisdom here? When it's hitting the wall of anti-wisdom, cutting us off from the source. We're de-sourced in this technology. We've got to see this red zone and come to terms with it and realize as long as we remain colonized and embedded, our best efforts of the greatest people. And that's what you're beautifully saying. There's so many beautiful, we're all beautiful. All humans are in the same family. We're all Unum Pluribus in the same family. But the technology, the matrix effect, and the devastating fallout of that we pointed out in the previous episodes, that we don't realize because we're disconnected, we can't see the connections. And opioids, addictions, and sexism, and racism, homophobia, ethnic cleansing, and genocide, all of these things are being from objectifying the other. It's fear of the other, because the other, that I see the other here, different from self and other. The other here is not the same as the other here. I and the other. We demonize the other and objectify. So the point is that this technology, which is great to give us information and talk about it in representational language and reason, we objectify. I have an object. We objectify deeply just by the matrix itself. And if we objectify ourselves and other and whatever nature, the work of art, whatever it is, it's going to be an act of violence. It's a mental act of violence to objectify uncritically. And when you come into the woke space, the other is not objectified. The other person is not objectified. And the self is not, because we objectify ourselves too.
Yes, you can't objectify the other without objectifying yourself.
That's right.
The same act.
You become a thing, not a person. And we the people are persons. We the people are persons. And that's a free being. That's the land of the free. That's so free. That's
excuse me.
The songs that you're bringing through for
yes. And I was just going to say, because it's important, guys, to not get disheartened because of where we are, but see that what's happening right now is so needs to happen. Like, it's not the democracy is not a failed experiment. It's working. If we didn't have that higher standard of democracy, we wouldn't know that we're breaking down right now. We have it, guys, and it needs the fake democracy or the pre-woke democracy or premature democracy has to mature, but we have to see that it's not working first, right? And that's what we're seeing now. So actually, the more of us that are celebrating what's happening right now, even as intense as it is right now.
Frightening and frightening.
It is frightening, man. If you're tuned in, it's really scary. What we're looking down the barrel of some pretty intense possibilities, and it could lend itself to discouragement. And what I'm saying is, you should never be more encouraged than right now. But that doesn't mean it's just going to happen. You should be encouraged because now you can be a modern day founding mother or father for the America that's trying to be born. And that's what our founding fathers and mothers would have wanted, is for us now, as all citizens, to step up as true free people. And that's a bold thing to do. I would go so far as to say it's a scary thing to do, to step into your true nature, to out yourself, so to speak. I don't mean that in terms of a sexual preference, but I mean out yourself as a free being, that's really what's got to happen here. And in order to do that, we've got to let go of, our prison can be our cozy space. We've been we've been in that prison for so long. It's not just la-di-da on out of that familiar way of thinking, that fixity and that rigidity even of mind. We can think we're all open-minded because I'm open to, spirituality and New Age and aliens and this and that. And you think you're open-minded, and I'm open-minded to other people and different, I let everybody live, but you can still be here. And so the more of us that get that sooner, the more we can really rise to that next level, and that's contagious. It's going to be contagious, guys. It's like a wildfire right now out there. It doesn't take a billion sparks to start a wildfire when everything's tinder dry. It's just that spark, and every one of us can be a spark, for this transformation, a maturation. It's like if we've had a caterpillar democracy, we're going into a butterfly democracy now. We're maturing into the real. And in between, the caterpillar kind of turns to mush. We don't want to demonize that process and really know that it's working. This is a really exciting time. We're in the best possible time ever.
I love that you're saying that now. That's true, because it's in the American case, and we're addressing the planetary family across the planet. Everyone's struggling to become free and have a real democracy and self-governance. And we can't self-govern here. That's a great lesson of the last 250 years. Our founders said we have to let go of any thought forms and conventions and patterns of political life and social political life that are making it, if it compromises our dignity and freedom as our God-given, source-given life, liberty, freedom, nobility as persons, if it compromises that, and we form governments to protect that. And if any form of government in this place, we can't have healthy self-governance. You have to be an awakened, rational being and to have the high vote, not the vote, the narcissistic, myopic, my agenda vote for my candidate and my. But we, to vote, in this case, to vote America first, the law first, the land of freedom first, the Constitution first. That is to put it above this matrix that holds us captive. We've got to decolonize. So if there's one great lesson of 250 years of the holy experiment, which is this experiment, can we have democracy? No. The lesson is we can't. We can free the slaves. We can give the women the vote. We can have gay rights. We can have civil rights. We can make these moves here, and they're good. They're important. They're vital, because the door is knocking on us. It's always calling us. And we're living under the influence of being called to mature and evolve and grow and come to a healthy democracy, a true democracy as humans, as persons, as moral beings, as awakened beings. And we've got to make that vote. So there's a deep vote. We can vote within the space, which is a vote to keep the red zone. Or we could step back now and make the vote to rise to the occasion of time to realize. So your point is very important. That it's not the fact that our division of our house divided is very starkly clear in our face more than ever before in our 250 years. We had the Civil War. That was devastating in the last century, the 18th. And now we're still in Civil War. There's an invisible Mason-Dixon line. It's a division of our narrative realities, right? The different stories that it's polarized of two realities. Which constitution? Which USA? Which people? Who rules? Who runs, say, the USA Common Polis, the Civic Space?
Mm-hmm.
Which side? You get the majority. You get the numbers. It can be like a mob rule, a gang, a cult, rather than humans together in the space of mutual respect and diversity. True diversity is not just pluribus. Without the Unum, you can't have Unum here. When Unum is here, unity of reason, the light of reason, truth, freedom, law, conscience, all of these, Christ, God, Buddha, yoga, all across the planet. That's the high ground. And we can't have it here. When we're in sophistry and a more narcissistic narrative story, an attachment to your story, or even multiple stories you can have. You can have many different stories and many different ID. You can have many different IDs according to different worlds. But what you're saying is so important. We are living at the greatest moment in the drama, the Logos drama, which until we see the illness clearly in the open and the house divided cannot stand. And we have no choice but to vote up and human up.
Yes, yes.
And that's where a USA can lead the way to the land of the free.
Right, right. As an example, lead by example, and to realize, all of us, democracy is way more badass than we even thought. You know, that's kind of the way I see it. It's like, oh, wow, the real democracy requires all the demos, the people, to become sovereign in the sense of source.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And another point you made that's very important. It's scary to leave this.
Yes.
This is terrifying. In a way, to put it starkly, USA here would be terrified of becoming USA.
I'm glad you said that.
We're scared of the law. We're scared of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you have to give something up, a caterpillar stage of our comfy zone. A caterpillar to become a mature butterfly. We have to bud, we have to blossom. And it's scary to make this crossing. We're not making this like a la-di-da walk in the park.
Right.
Courage. That's courage.
That's courage. That's the home of the brave.
That's the home of the brave. That's the home of the brave. That's
the home of the brave, yes.
You follow? That's courage. To let this is scary, to let go of what's normal. We've got the FOMO, fear of missing out. We've got the cult. We've got the tribe. We've got the homies. We got our story. But if we just attach to that, we're a broken people.
It makes me think. Yeah, and it makes me think of the closing line of our closing song today from my dear friend, an amazing poet, artist, singer, songwriter. His name's Freedom, and he wrote this song. I believe it was released originally in 2004. Divided we will surely fall, but united we stand. And I think we're going to play that song in closing for you to really give you the feeling of what we're talking about. Again, that crossing. People are going to rise up, break these chains to set us free. Listen to the lyrics closely. And if you want to say anything about this song.
I really admire Freedom. When I discovered him as one of your older colleagues, elder, a so powerful artist. And this song is so deeply moving and apropos to where we are right now. And one of the things I love in this, we're going to end the war with music, the song. And this song is a medicine song, just like your other two songs and your other songs, but in this, so free, so this is a deeply moving. It speaks for itself. So we will conclude this session. But next session, number 8, which will continue on the theme of one nation under law, indivisible. If we're a land divided, how do we become one people under source, under law, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? We can't have justice here. It's here that we'll have justice. And that's where a sustainable democracy, a sacred democracy. So let's enjoy this song, and we'll see you all next time in episode number 8. We'll conclude with this.
Yes, thank you so much, guys, for hanging with us. And we're going to just leave you with this song. So please enjoy and go deep into it.
to me now. Oh, I have prepared a place. Won't you come through now? And I will bridge the world if I only knew how. And when this play is over, we will take the last bow. This is good, so take my hand. Yes, I know we can hear the motherland, because we are still young, young and feathered, and we are lightning, bold and weathered. This is the edge of time. Have no more fear of death, 'cause it is all in your mind. Come to me now. And people gonna rise up, break these chains and set us free. Oh my God, let them know this time and time again. And people gonna rise up, break these chains and set us free. Oh my God, we do know it is time. I ask you to jump, have a little faith to keep you warm, as is only your soul fire that will ever see you through the storm. And we do greet the sea, all changes with wings. Remember, I am your friend until the end begins again. Until the end begins again. And I am alive and never die. I'll just lay my robe down one day in the sun to dry. And angel, oh then I'll fly, 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 fly. Whoop, boom, 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 boom. Hey, 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 we're going home now. Got it in your soul, why don't you use it? Oh, I ain't gonna fight you no more, we're gonna win the war with music, yeah. You got it in your soul, why don't you choose it? I ain't gonna fight you no more, we're gonna win the war with music. Gonna stop 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 the war. People gonna rise up, break these chains and set us free. Oh my God, we do know it is time. Angel, right in here now, giving thanks to you for coming through me right now. And I will bridge the world if you help me now. And when this play is over, we will take the last bow. Hear my call and hold it in your hands. Divided we will surely fall, but united stand. Yeah, united we stand. you.